So it's time for a what am I sowing and growing video. This time it's for December, and the sowing part is going to be really quick because pretty much I don't sow anything in December. I take a little bit of a rest. I just think it's the worst time to be sowing anything. Even under grow lights, I really don't see much advantage to sowing at this time of year. I sowed quite a lot in November though, and in October, and quite a lot of that is still growing on in containers, module trays and whatever, ready to be planted out, and some of it's been planted out. So I thought what I'd do is I'd take you around, I'll show you all the things that we've got growing, ready to fill spaces that will open up on the beds and in the polytunnel, between now and February time. And then obviously all the stuff that I start sowing in January, well, that'll be ready for planting out late February, and probably some of it even in early March. So let's take a look around. Most of my seedlings are in the polytunnel now. I have got one tray of lettuce that's in the conservatory. I've got some microgreens in the conservatory, and I've got some calabrese and a few lettuces and things like that in under the grow lights, but very little really. As I said, the vast majority is in here, and some of it is okay and some of it is pretty rubbish. So what have I got here? So I've got some Chinese kale, and I think I'm going to plant this in the polytunnel. I've actually got some under one of my little low tunnels, and it's doing great. And I'm actually going to pick some of it today to try. We've never grown it before. So then I've got some little cauliflowers, I think these are. We don't grow a huge amount of cauliflowers at this time of year, and that tray at the back is really terrible, but these at the front are not too bad. They got a little bit scorched, but they'll recover. It's surprising, they can look like that 1 month and then look like that a month later, so that's not too bad. These aren't actually cauliflowers, these are cabbages. These are all spring cabbages. I generally plant my spring cabbages out about February, although of course I've got loads in the ground at the moment as well, which are an earlier succession. And then I've got these, which are aquadulce broad beans, and these are spares, and right now I don't have anywhere to put them, so they're just growing into great big plants, and I probably won't plant them out like this. I'll snip them off and let them grow a new shoot, because these are just way too big and floppy to plant out in winter. And then these are little baby sprout plants to be planted out in the polytunnel for leaves in February. And then these, also a little bit scorched, are Calabrese Marathon. I'm just going to take these outer leaves off. I just left them on just so I could show you. There's just no point having those on, and I'm going to, you'll be surprised when we do the January video, hopefully, at how nicely those have recovered, and they should be growing on really well, and they're going to get planted out in February in the polytunnel as well. Then I've got a lot of carrots, and these are all going to overwinter as tiny little plants, not much bigger than this, and they won't really put on any growth until the middle of February, early March time, and then they'll really sprint away. Now there's too many in here obviously, and because these are mainly going to be taken as small carrots for salads, I will be thinning these out so that each carrot has about 2 square inches of growing space, and so quite a lot of these are reasonably okay, but say that one for example would come out, that one would come out, a couple will come out in there, so there's, it won't take long to thin those out, but it's worth over sowing really at this time of year because you never know what germination is going to be like. And these are also Marion, And then these are Amsterdam forcing, so although they're a little bit behind, these will be ready actually before these. And so I've kind of got lots of successions in here that'll be taken over time. So like these two will be for salad carrots, so they'll be nice and early. Those will be a little bit earlier. And these out with a little bit more space, so that those come mature for carrots for cooking, and then some more there. So basically by just adjusting the planting density, you can get a reasonable succession of carrots for different purposes. Some chervil in here, a few spare lettuces in here in case I get any gaps opening up, and a few field beans as well in case I get any gaps opening up. And again, once these are a bit bigger, I might snip them off and I'll sort of use these in stir fries, and I'll let a new shoot grow before I plant them out. And then down here I've got some these are cuttings, perennial kale cuttings, and this one I only took a couple of days ago. I just wanted to see how well it would root in mid-November rather than those which were taken in September or October, I'm not sure. Now these are really nicely rooted because I just potted those on, but this one is looking good. It's not shown any signs of wilting or anything like that, so I'm pretty confident that it's rooting okay. Different variety of perennial kale, and it's quite important to put a few slug pellets down, because perennial kales are an absolute favourite for slugs, and they will just decimate your little babies. And already you can see from these few slug pellets that I put down that there was a few slugs in this old container full of compost. And obviously as soon as these start growing well and look like they've got a decent root on them, I'll pot them on. But it was just quick just to poke them into that compost. And I've got these lovely little baby kale plants, and we won't be harvesting these for ages. Apart from this is the Chinese kale that I talked about, and I'm going to take a few of these leaves just to see what they're like, because they look plenty big enough for eating now. So there we go. Are you sowing anything in December? My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.